All right.
Yeah.
So what's up, dude? What's going on?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I see you're in base camp there.
Yeah. Base camp, garage, bar, and bar. Bar and
Yeah.
garage. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working on the lighting, so apologize for that one.
Ah, that's good, man. You know, you deal with what you got. All right. So we're here to talk about Leogand and what's the other one? I always want to say Les Gets, but it's not that. I can't. The French.
Leger.
Leger.
Yeah. The
So
first two rounds of the World Cup, right?
right. Hang on one second here. Okay. Just had to check my mic. Yeah, the first two rounds. Unfortunately, Brady couldn't be with us. He's the only one out of the three of us who has kids, so they become prior to podcast reviews. So we'll try to get Brady on for the next one. So let's start with Leogand. Let's start. Did you want to start with the men's or women's?
Yeah, we can do a quick rundown of the women's race.
Okay. So let me share this screen here. All right. You see that all right?
Yep.
Okay. So Val Hall, she's she was the number one qualifier. So a little bit about her. This is like what I found out. This was her home track, and she's from there. She had a bunch of friends and family. So she's like this up and comer. For people who don't know, this is her first year in the pro class, but she's dominated juniors. She was just coming through the ranks, full steam. So this was her first pro race, and she qualified first. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, man. I think she qualified by 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was the top qualifiers, number one plate going in, not one number one plate, but number one seed going in, and favored to win the race. With it being her hometown, her home track. She's coming out of the juniors. Ripping, so she's the next up and comer for sure.
Right, for sure. And then Mira Nicole was second. She's kind of a well-established name in the women's downhill. And then another established name, well, Rachel Atherton's out. She just had a child, so she won't race this year. But Tanya Seagrave's qualifying eighth. That's she's usually up top five in qualifying. Yep. And then the world champ is Camille Blanchet. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with that. But yeah. So she qualified fifth. So those were the women's qualifying for Leogand. And let's look at the men's down here. There we go. So the men's, Troy Brosnan qualified, and if you look at his time, he was 7 seconds faster in the qualifying than Danny Hart, who qualified in second. And what's crazy is no one could figure out, where is he finding this speed, because it's like, it's fast up top, then it's super technical in the woods. So then that's where he was actually, better. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Dakota Norton, the Tennessee boy, qualified fourth. So hats off to Dakota. He switched teams on the YT mob, so that's good for him.
Great spot for him.
Yeah. And then his teammate David Trumer, fifth. Let's see, look down here, is what kind of surprising is like Greg Menars in 12th. And then I'm looking for is Luke Bruni. He's in 19th, qualified 19th. So when the men were qualifying, it was sloppy that day. It's like rain or raining. Yeah. And so the qualifying was just kind of all over the place. Actually, Puron qualified 21st. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. He was 21st qualifying. So, and another guy that was good in the actual race was Collages. He was 14th in qualifying. And then one more is Gwyn. Gwyn was 18th qualifying. It's kind of hard to put where these guys are. It's a first race. You want to see high hopes, but how much do if I ask you, how much are you relying on the first race? Or you just kind of like, do you wait it out for 2 or 3 races?
As in where they're finishing?
Just yeah.
Qualifying?
Yeah.
I'm sure that, even these guys get the, first round qualifying. There's the cat. Jitters and stuff like that. But it's when it comes to race day, some of them have, it's one of those things. You have a good qualifier, you don't. The bike's set up, you can make some changes and go from practice to qualifying to race day and make those changes. And on race day, have it just absolutely ripping and make up all that time that you were missing out on qualifying.
Well, another thing is like, you come into the off season, it's your first race, you're probably super pumped up. And then all of a sudden the weather is just like, hey, we're going to throw this on you. And you're like, dang, I'm not a rainy kind of rider, So in the qualifying was raining, it probably just messed with a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think the past 2 years, just with everything going on, some people might have had to change up their training styles and maybe not have as many lead up races or training going into the beginning of the year. So
yeah, so just from us being in the States and kind of knowing the area, do you think how much you think Dakota and Knoxville, I wonder how like comparable it is to extra races over there, like with the weather being Tennessee's kind of all over the place. It can rain, it could shine. So
right. I mean, it's where I think where he's at, he's got a great base camp there because North Carolina's there, Tennessee, their Wind Rock is right there, which is world class downhill tracks. So there's a lot of places to train in that area, just a few hours away. So yeah, I think that area lends to it's really creating good downhill riders for sure.
Yeah. Every time you say base camp, you should have the light behind you light up.
I'd light it up, but we tried that, and it's too much of a glare. So,
all right, so let's go to the finals from that race. Let me see here. All right, so let's go to the women's. All right, so the women's finals. Camille, she was the world champ. She actually won by looks like 2 seconds over Val Hall. And like we said, Val Hall, that's her race. That's her home track. She fell at the end, like 2 turns to go, and she fell. And go ahead.
Yeah, that was like super disappointing. She came out of the woods, and she was crushing it. I think she was like 6 or 7 seconds up. I mean, she was absolutely crushing it. It looked like, I think she washed the front end out and fell. And to her credit, she was so far up in first place. She wiped out, got up, dusted herself off, and still finished second.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, look at these splits. She was up every split except for coming from the last split until the end where she crashed, and she lost by 1.5 seconds. It's crazy.
She was crushing it. So she's definitely somebody that's going to be the future of women's downhill for sure.
Yeah. And then like Seagrave, she was 5th. I think she might have gone down, or I know she one part of the track we didn't mention is you can either take this low line or you take this drop. And then a lot of people would think the drop, because you would the lines would meet back up, they would take the drop thinking it's shorter, but really the low line carried your speed more. And that's where I felt like people were benefiting from. But Seagraves went over the drop, and I mean, she still got 5th, so not terrible, but yeah. And then Mira Nicole, she wrecked twice. She wrecked up top before entering the woods, I think, and then she wrecked halfway down into the woods section.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those when the women took the track, and later on with the men, even with the juniors, the top part I think had dried out, but the woods section in the roots section, there was big ruts, and it was still, it wasn't raining, but it was sloppy. And, you get so many riders through it from practicing and qualifying and everything. and it was just getting rutted out. So the wood section was still kind of sloppy, even though it wasn't. It was done raining.
Right, for sure. So let's go down to the men's here, and I mean, look at Troy Brosnan. Like if we went back and watched the race, or anybody goes back and watches, you see the top half. He's down 2 seconds. You're like, he ain't gonna be able to make up 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he just enters that wood section, and he's just, I mean, he's not holding back anything, and he basically leaves that like big gap section. He's up like I don't know how many seconds does he finish by? Oh, it only looks like he only finishes by a second, but yeah, he ends up leaving there in the green.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The first part of that track is just big and wide open, and there's some big wood features in that part. You know, some big jumps. You go through the tunnel. It's just kind of wide open, and you watch the race. People were green. You know, they were green through that first part, and then they started losing time once they hit the wood section, and the middle section is where everybody was just getting crushed in time. And Mr. Consistency, Troy Brosnan, was the one that figured it out for sure.
Yeah. And then like I said in the qualifying, Purion, man, he qualified like 21st or something, but the track dried out come the finals, and he put on quite a ride to come into third. He was actually leading before those other two guys came down. So props to him.
Yeah, you look at the top 5 guys, the podium, they do top 5. 3 out of the 5 are French riders on common saw bikes, and you'll go down through and see the more French riders on those common saw bikes, and they're putting in work over there for sure.
For sure.
One of the runs that I was most looking forward to was Brook Mcdonald's run.
Yeah.
Because this was his first race back from his injury. I think that was 2019, his injury.
Mm-hmm.
And man, the Bulldog just came out just absolutely ripping. I think he's the only one. Some have done it in the past, but there's a feature where you come out and there's a wall ride, and he jumped it straight into the wall ride. Just nuts. His run was just full blast. The dude's so much fun to watch, and it's awesome to see him back on track for sure. He's one of the ones where I'm like, some guys will go down. You're like, oh, you want to watch Brook Mcdonald's run for sure. He's going to put it all out there.
You know who else kind of, I mean, feels like he's just full go is oh crap, I lost his name. Well, Danny Hart sometimes look like he's out of control, like he's going down, but also is Laurie Greenland. It looks like he's just like, I was like, has he got it? And then he just makes it through the next section. But sometimes I'm just like, this dude's out of control. He doesn't look like he has control of the bike, but it's just the way he rides. I feel like that way.
Yeah, he's fun to watch ride too.
Yeah.
And then, you can see there, Dakota Norton finished 9th.
Yeah.
Respectable spot, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, 9th. I think he would have done a little better if it stayed maybe a little more wet, like it did in qualifying. But 9th's not bad. Yeah. What about what people don't talk about? Ed Masters, man, he's in his mid-30s. The dude's still 11th. I mean, same with Greg Menard. Greg Menard's like 40. I mean, that's
he's pushing it. He's 38 for sure. But yeah, Menard just keeps putting up great times each race.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's unstoppable. Eddie Masters is one where he came out. It was either this one or the next one we're going to talk about. He had an EWS race like right before it. I think it was this one. The dude just rides everything, and he's fun to watch because he just loves riding bikes. He'll race anything. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. So speaking of that, let's move on to hang on a second here. So let's move on to Leger. So this course, opposite of Leogand. Leogand rained, then stopped. This one wasn't raining and then poured for the finals. Actually poured just more for the men's. I mean, it was total carnage. So let's go to the qualifying of that one. Hang on 1 second.
I think it was decent qualifying, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The weather.
Yeah, the weather was good for qualifying, I'm pretty sure. All right, so here's qualifying for women's. Yeah, I remember Mira Nicole. She was up. Look at her qualifying time. She was up almost 8 seconds over Val Hall for that race. And then there's the girl who won Leogand, Camille. She's in third. So I mean, all three of the people from the final the previous race at Leogand are still kind of in the top three. And then Seagrave, she's down there in seventh. Still, maybe she's just not a great qualifier. I don't know, because it seems from her qualifying, to her final result, she seems to turn it on a little more. I don't know.
But I mean, every year the women's field just gets more stacked and stacked, and it's, you know, you can go down a line of those names, and you know, any of those names could win on any day for sure.
Yeah.
So it just gets harder to even qualify, let alone win with the race there.
For sure. I'm looking at these times, like Mira Nicole had every split. Like no one was even close. Like Val Hall was the closest she was even to her was her first split at 4.3, and then everything else, like nobody was even close. She just crushed that qualifying race. Right.
Crushed. Absolutely.
And then, so for that, let's go to the final here. Leger. I'll get it eventually. So Tanya Seagraves, man, like I said, she didn't qualify. She qualified seventh, and then she comes out and she actually wins the race. Mira Nicole only beat her in the first split, but actually, if you look at the times, she only lost by 0.25. I mean, that's close. That's good.
Yeah, it was a good race for sure.
Yeah. And then Camille, she finished third, almost 5 seconds back. And then Val Hall, she went down again. Always a second race in a row, both almost to the finish line. Yeah. But it doesn't look like she was already down in the first few splits, so it's not like she was like right up there anyway.
Right.
But all right, let's move down to the men's. Did I do men's qualifying? I don't know if I did.
No, we didn't talk to qualifying yet.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, so qualifying was in a bit of drier conditions.
Yeah.
Than the race runs, from what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so Bruni finally, it's only his second race. He qualified first.
Yeah, and look at that in second. Angel, I think you're going to see more of him, dude. That's another dude. I love watching him ride. He just rides right on the edge, and he's getting better every year.
Yeah, what was he on? He wasn't on Kamasal last year. He was on was it GT?
He was with the YT mob.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then they didn't run a team last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? Something like that. They didn't run a downhill team, and then he came back on Kamasal. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention Vergier and Leogand. He got a flat like right up top. I just feel like this guy's either flying or something just happens to him.
Yeah, mechanicals, that's tough.
Yeah. But I mean, his qualifying, he's in third. Has some good splits there in third, but looks like Bruni just at the very end. I mean, he was only not even a second back from Bruni though qualifying. Reese Wilson, another great run from him. Danny Hart. Where is the guy that came in second on Leogand?
DePrelia?
Yeah, did I pass him?
No, I think he qualified down.
There he is right there. Qualified 33rd.
Yep.
Wow. That's right. I think he like went down pretty hard or something. But anyway, you mentioned the Bulldog. He's in 11th. Bernard Kerr. I'm always a fan. If you want to see some good YouTube, go look at Bernard Kerr YouTube channel. And probably I'm also a little biased. I write a pivot, so
yeah. Follow Bernard Kerr and Eddie Masters for good Instagram stuff.
Yeah. Dakota Norton still top 10 in the qualifying, man. He's doing really good this year. So props to him. And his, he was only at the end 2.8 seconds back, so not terrible.
Yeah, I think he's starting to figure out that bike, and he's going to keep moving up.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to the finals.
Yeah, so qualifying was a bit better conditions. The women's race started sprinkling it a little bit, and as you can see, there's 70 riders that come down for the elite men. The beginning of the race was a bit, I wouldn't call it dry, but it wasn't raining. And as you went at each rider, it started raining a bit more and more on the mountain. And let's say, what do you think? When they got into the top 15 maybe?
Yeah.
It was just, or maybe top 10, it was absolutely pouring down rain.
Greasy.
So it's one of those things that you get, qualifying first, you get last run down. But there's always those races where it's dry throughout the whole race and people are putting up fast times, and then it just starts pouring down rain, and it's really hard to get any grip, or it's hard to pick up time in the wet. So
yeah, I try to think about that one race. I don't know if it was like 18 or 19 or what race. Like one of the first guys to go down, like obviously he's on the podium, and then it just poured or it rained a lot, and that guy ended up almost winning the race. I think he ended up winning. I'm just like. And he was, he didn't qualify good, wasn't a well-known guy. I'm just like, yeah, that's what happens when it rains.
Yeah, it's just part of the racing, right?
Yeah. There was something kind of miss. Oh yeah. So on this track versus Leogand, there's like a gap, but it goes back to like the trail. The gap is, it's all kind of like groomed and back to the trail. This one is basically a jump to a field off camber. Well, it turns off camber as you go down, and it's just gnarly. Like how they land to a field, and then it's off camber, and then they got to hit another jump. If you get the chance, anybody go rewatch it. These guys are like sticking their legs out just to try to keep a balance because it's starting to rain on them. Then they got to hit this one jump. Remember that one guy? I don't know who it was. I apologize, but he couldn't make the next jump. And he just like went off to the side, went to the like where the people were standing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think the setup was like, all right, this is going to be gnarly, and then it starts raining, and everybody's like, oh, dude, this is really going to be gnarly.
Yeah,
we're gonna flat track it around, yeah, because it was such off camber. Everybody's sticking a leg down just to keep upright.
Right.
But even at that being said, all those riders were still ripping through there.
Yeah,
absolutely just ripping. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll get to a particular rider here in a second. All right, let me share some of the results from that race. All right, so the elite men, there's our dude back on top. How do you say his name? The pro? Yeah. So, yeah, I think he went down in his qualifying. The dude on the finals, he had black eyes, 2 black eyes. And he looked kind of scary. But, yeah, he came out just crushing it. He had that line up top. Let me think here. Yeah, where it was like he jumped a different way than everybody. And he was just, yeah, he was killing it.
Yeah,
I think that was, yeah. And then, yeah, so he probably – was it raining when he went down? Do you remember?
I think it wasn't raining as hard. I think it was wet, but
yeah.
I don't think it was raining as hard as it was like for the top 10 guys.
Yeah.
Like it was visually pouring down rain when they came down.
Yeah, so then Amari's brother, Baptiste, on a Camisole, I think a different team, but, I mean, same bike. He's in third, another French guy.
Yeah, and Emery did not race this. He got hurt prior to this.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So, you'll definitely what's different, and no offense to any of these guys, but like you just don't see the big names we used to see up top in the top 10 because they qualified so good, but then it just rained and poured, so it just changed everything up.
If you scroll down there to 9 through 14, look at those British riders. They're used to riding in the rain.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't see. Man, I just met pivot guy. I just mentioned. Oh, Bernard, there he is, right there, 16. Yeah. Like I say, he feel like he can ride in all that. Yeah. Look at just as we go down, man, it's just crazy.
So yeah, the biggest takeaways from that was it just started pouring down rain when the top 15 to 10 guys started coming down.
Yeah. Did you break a bottle?
Yes. No, I just dropped the bottle.
Gwyn 36. He was in the rain. Troy Brosnan went down. I remember he went down 41st. Dakota Norton, he 44th. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was an gnarly race for sure.
All right, so hats off to DePrella, still doing good. Up there, I'm assuming he's the points leader by now.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So I know there's a third race. I haven't watched it yet, but we're gonna hold that off.
No, I have watched it. You want me to spoil it for you?
No, please don't.
Okay.
All right. So speaking, I didn't see results. I'm sure he's way down there. Here's a clip of the race of Reese Wilson. Please enjoy. Let me rewind it here. Hold on.
You gotta share it.
Did it share?
Nope.
Hold on here. That was my fault. So did you even hear the audio?
Barely.
Good. Because I was like, I forgot to hit that.
Yeah, so this is one of the gnarliest crashes in a while.
Yeah. Crazy.
Dude, that's nuts. And he was fine after that. I mean, he was a little shaken up, but there was no major injuries after that one.
He walked away.
Yeah.
Rode up the rest of the track.
And you can see how hard it was raining when he was coming down. And it was just nuts. He just went full Superman off of that. It was crazy. Yeah, for sure.
What's funny is he even laughed about it on social media. Like, he's like, man, I was rolling some windows down.
Yeah.
But he was actually hauling. Like, he was not far off the lead before he hit that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's good to see him get up, and, he raced last weekend. So good to see him get up and go.
So did you watch the Hardline? He actually did commentating with Rob, and he did it really well.
Yeah, I did watch the Hardline. That's another crazy event. I'm surprised they have that in mid-season.
Oh my gosh, I know.
They used to have it after the season, but
I'm surprised they're allowed to do it. I mean, there's some intense. That's intense.
Yeah. So for a lot of you guys that don't know the Hardline, so Red Bull puts it on, and I think Dan Atherton used to build it. I don't know if he still does, but it's just massive jumps and drops and just the biggest stuff. And it's basically invite only, and they put it on somewhere over in England or Scotland. And it's a race, but it's just massive jumps and just huge drops, and it's it's definitely one of the bigger events.
Huge drops, huge jumps. But yeah, so I'm gonna mess it up. Leger. I was gonna say Leger. So going after watching the first two races, do you see, besides I guess the winner, other than that, he was in the top three the first race. Do you see anybody else who kind of stands out this season that looks pretty good? I know you've seen the third race, which I have not, so you got to try to not put that in there.
I have seen the third race, but I mean, everybody from, Menard's still up there. He's consistent up on podium. Aprilia is killing it right now. Absolutely killing it. All those French riders are killing it. Baptiste finished third this race. After this race, they did he got hurt. I think he hurt his back. He broke some of his back. So he did not race the third one, but he'll be on the mend. But the French riders are just crushing it right now.
Yeah, absolutely crushing it. We need some Americans up there, at least on the podium. But
and it was kind of a bummer going into the third race. This isn't a spoiler, but there was a lot of riders that were hurt or got hurt or tested. Couldn't race for some reason. There was a lot of the top riders out of the last race.
Right.
It doesn't take away from the people that raced there, but it's kind of a bummer to see people out. But hopefully for there's one more round and then snowshoe. So hopefully everybody will be
two at snowshoe.
Two at snowshoe, but hopefully everybody will be nice and healthy, and we'll have a full lineup ready to go down at snowshoe.
I know. Starting Wednesday, and then Wednesday to Saturday, it's gonna be wild.
Wednesday, and then is Wednesday the race?
The makeup race.
Is the makeup race, and then qualifying starts again on Friday, and then the race on Saturday.
Yeah.
And they will have the cross country race there too.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's going to be a blast.
Better. Yeah.
Get your tickets.
Yeah.
And somebody's got a birthday that weekend too.
Yeah, so. That Wednesday. Yeah, just got to figure if I can make it.
You have to make it.
I know.
We already have a big surprise set up for you.
Oh, really? Big cake?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Bruni pops out. Hey, man, you're supposed to be racing.
Is that what you want?
Super Bruni, yeah.
Okay, man.
Change it up. Change the plans.
I had Pierre on with a thing of moonshine.
Ooh, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Didn't know if I wanted to touch that after what I saw prior to that.
That's the party right there.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Maybe next week, I'm actually heading to see you guys here in a couple of days and I'll be there for a few days, but then next week, maybe we can catch up for round 3.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. See you in a few days.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Thanks.
See you, dude. See ya.